I appreciate it. Yeah, here's.
For what? Oh, for just a donation? Yeah, just treasurer at 65112. The PO box. It's on our website. Okay. Or if you see me around town, or you want my phone number, you can call me and I'll pick it up. Okay. You do that too? No, we're not right. Thank you very much. Financials are on the table.
He's ambitious, Gary. He's ambitious.
Well, I know. Maybe my first.
That's what I keep telling myself.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's actually a low stream.
Absolutely. Yes.
I didn't think that was what we were doing.
Super president. In like 24 hours.
So at the end of the day, I was kind of like, I wouldn't. I could have but I wouldn't.
Anything on the program?
I don't know the difference between what did they say, screen shot
Screen print versus
don't know what that is.
iron versus the.
Okay. They still.
That will be
Huh.
That's what it Yeah.
Yes. It's very hard in this room.
So
This just came out.
what was the, what were they saying about being just the front? Instead of doing the front end a lot more?
It probably, well, it doesn't, it adds to it. It doesn't double, you're not going to get a t-shirt size, but, you know, it's a separate design, it's a separate screen. So there's a separate set of feet, and then they flip it to it.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so I would say it's only for
And single color is fine.
I mean, if we're spending money, let's go ahead and do it right. And I just, for some
If we pay for a year, we'll buy a t-shirt.
okay. We have a report.
All right, good afternoon, folks. It's 3:02 to schedule, so we're gonna get started. Welcome to the May edition of the Portville Village Council Board of Directors meeting. We have, let's see, Diana's not gonna be here today, and Andy is not gonna be here today. So, we will start, and Jennifer's not here. It's kind of looking like you, Greg. And we are live streaming, so if you don't want to be recorded, the door's back there, and make sure you use the mic up here. And all this.
Thank you. Well, the weather's pretty nice out, so it's hard to argue with people. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Rutherford, District 3 County Commissioner, coming to talk about a couple of things. I've talked about budget issues at the county, a lot recently, and we have taken action on that. So the Board of County Commissioners has asked that staff prepare, we've got it all together, a ballot initiative for the primary ballot for a 21 cent per $1,000 levy for very specific actions, and those are written into the resolution. So these monies, if approved by the voters, the simple majority votes could be used only for Parks and Rec programs, 4-H, the fairground, which is a county property and which we've started to support in recent years, and community centers, which we own several community centers around the county. So that's what these funds could be used for. On a there's going to be for and against campaigns, as created by RCW. We can't advocate one way or the other. We can provide information about it and answer questions. We ran into a real pickle with our Parks and Rec program, which was kind of the inciting incident for this, as we gave them some very strict budget cuts in the 2026 budget, really kind of taking 25% off the top. Many other departments are like 12% was what was asked, and we ended up going to the people with a program with Jefferson Community Foundation to raise a little money to keep those rec centers open for 2026. That was successful, and we committed the rest of the funds to keep all the programming the same for 2026. Absent a new revenue source, though, there's going to be significant cuts in Parks and Rec and other areas that are not mandated, but are, of course, critical to our social fabric. And, as agents of the state, the county is mandated to do many things. Sometimes what we have to do and what we choose to do is sort of Byzantine, so that's one of the efforts that we're going through this for our own budget process, is to outline what are required mandates. I think I've talked about, public defense is something that we are required to do and not funded to do. We get about, I can't remember, $45,000, $50,000 from the state for public defense, and it costs, this year our contract is $1.25 million. And it's going up, and this is, increased by the state Supreme Court judgment that significantly over a 5-year period reduces the caseload that public defenders can have. So this is just to show you how legislation has these knockdown effects on services that we are mandated to provide. We're not mandated to provide community centers, Parks and Rec programs, 4-H programs, but these are all critical, and we had a huge outpouring from parents, from seniors, from children, as we contemplated, as we had to do shuttering the rec center in Fort Townsend and maybe closing some other rec programs. H.J. Carroll Field, Memorial Field, is the only scholastic approved athletic field in Jefferson County. That's another county facility that's about $250,000 to run. We continue to talk to our other partners, the school districts, Chimicum and Fort Townsend primarily, that use that for scholastic athletic events. And we have a course that we've charted now, and hopefully the voters agree with this choice. Also wanted to talk a little bit about the Hood Canal Bridge. Can't remember if I told you the final details on the FIFA temporary rule change for the Hood Canal Bridge that the Peninsula Regional Transportation Planning Organization requested. It was successful for the duration of FIFA, so June 15th to the end of July. There will be planned openings for recreational boats during the day. So the only time that will open is 11 o'clock in the morning and 2 p.m. And then recreational vessels can get through between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well. So a little bit more certainty. Of course, Department of Defense vehicles and commercial vehicles still have right of way, and the bridge will continue to open for them. Also on the Hood Canal Bridge, the roundabout project to create a gateway is in its final kind of contract negotiations between WashDOT. They're supposed to go in by the end of last year, and we're doing the final things about who takes care of it, when and if a car drives into it, and these are, hopefully that never happens, but you need to make sure who's going to go drag that car off and rebuild this piece of art. I'm really supportive of the design of it up, and it's very scalable. It can be larger, it can be smaller. The manufacturer is just north of Seattle, and we've already talked to some of the tribes about them also using a version of it. You can basically, it looks like a kind of concrete window, portrait style window with a cedar tree, a filigree cedar tree in the middle of it. So different cities could put a different symbol if they had, if you had a particular symbol that was iconic with Port Ludlow, you could create one for Port Ludlow and give it that mini scale. And we want sort of a wayfinding and placemaking. This is part of the Olympic Peninsula Master Tourism Plan, and I'm happy to see this, not in brick and actual concrete, but it'll look like concrete. So it's coming soon. And then finally, unless there's any questions, the Board of County Commissioners has looked at fireworks again. Our fireworks policy, we updated a couple of years ago, and just a reminder about the power of the fireworks lobby, but any change that we get to at the county level to make fireworks policy more restrictive takes place a year after we enact it. So currently we have a relationship between our fire marshal and deputy fire marshal and the fire departments. We have another Chief Glassman come on and talk about the increasing fire hazard that we're entering into, and we'll be talking about it on Monday with the fire marshal as well, the BOCC. But today, and for this 4th of July, that kind of merit-based ban is what we have. So if we get to high fire danger, which we almost inevitably do these days, or which we almost inevitably will this year, then fireworks are banned in Jefferson County for the 4th of July, in the window that is allowed by the state. There's 2 windows allowed by the state of Washington for 2 fireworks. That's, around New Year's Eve and around the 4th of July. And so we took action a couple weeks ago to change that policy in 2 ways. One way is currently we have a $1,000 fine for violating the law about this. There are some vagaries in that too. Right now we talk about possession of illegal fireworks as the trigger. No, we talk about shooting them off, sorry. And that's very difficult for an investigating officer to determine, and the $1,000 ticket proved the deterrent, I think, also for implementation of that. So we've done 2 things. One is to direct the Sheriff's Department to update the language of, is it possession, is it possession, so that it can be a little bit more liberally applied. That cannot apply this year because that would be making our firework policy more restrictive. We've also asked them to reduce the first and second offenses to $250 and $500, and that will take place this year because it is less restrictive, so that policy can go into place immediately. We also voted, and I was the nay vote on this. I'll explain my vote a little bit, but I'm supportive of the decision to create a total fireworks ban in Jefferson County. That's in all unincorporated Jefferson County. We haven't had a resolution in front of us, but we will get that before the 4th of July. If we pass that resolution, then the subsequent 1 year, so it doesn't impact this 4th of July holiday, it doesn't impact the 2027 New Year's holiday, but after that, consumer fireworks will be illegal in Jefferson Jefferson County, and you'll have to, maybe we'll get folks to go through the rather arduous statewide regulatory process of becoming professional pyrotechnics. So the most difficult, challenging thing is you have to participate in 6 other professional displays, which is a real barrier for folks, especially if they live here and they want to create a community show. I think there's the new policy, I do believe, will be much more simple. I think that fireworks will be banned this year almost certainly based on the drought conditions and the increasing hazard of having fire. So I'm fairly certain, maybe Chief Black can speak to this when he comes up as well. This policy has been effective, I think. It's taken a couple of years to get better and better at implementation, and we're better about talking with our partners and who's enforcing it and how can we, persuade folks to comply rather than, throw them for lighting off the firecracker, right? I mean, a lot of people see a lot of symbolic freedom tied up into the use of fireworks, it's tied in with the 4th of July and everything. So it's a challenging to implement, but with the new rules, I think it will be much easier, and it'll still be a process that we go through. I'm sure even after they are banned for all time, there will be years and years of declining consumer firework use throughout Jefferson County. And that's what I came to talk about, unless there's other questions about other topics or questions about these.
Audience questions? Susie's good.
I don't know anything about the tower thing that they're putting up on.
Cell tower.
The cell phone tower. I was at the community meeting here when our Greg Ballard and Jeremy Willamy from DCD talked about the process. This is not a process that we have at the PLVC control over. I think that I could find out and come back with an update on where that application is, but it's, I don't have further information. I don't know where they are. I can come back with it.
The state permit, or the county permitting portal has a pretty good update generally. I think it's pretty close to real time. And I haven't looked at it, but you should be able to find where the permitting process is.
Well, I'll bring it up to you next time.
I do have one quick question for you regarding backfilling your position.
Yes.
I just saw yesterday there's a 3rd candidate now running. Does that mean there'll be a primary, or does everybody go through to November? 4. It's 4 now?
I've heard of 4. I've heard of 3 to file, but yeah, I guess we're definitely having a primary. So
Okay.
fun.
When is the primary?
Same day as your option to vote on the Parks and Rec levy.
Perfect, okay. Good, we're in, because 2 of you are here, we're thinking about another candidate forum. Is that something you guys want to do? Not a debate, but just a chance to come and share your views. Okay.
Yeah, I have a quick question going back to the property tax. For change for increase, it's 12 cents per thousand dollars. 21 cents. Do you have any idea of how much that would generate?
We're still putting together the information, but it's not $1.5 million.
Can you get a little closer?
Oh, sorry, about $1.5 million, I think, per year. Thank you.
Is that for multiple years or forevermore?
Well, so it's, there's a couple different ways that you can do this, right? And there's new flexibility added from legislation that just happened last year. This is a one-time levy, which means that the rate doesn't change, but it's for 6 years. So there was a lot of interest in Port Townsend, specifically around the rec center, about a community-directed MPD, which is a separate path than if the government creates an MPD. They get a petition, so many signatures, and we, in a Metropolitan Parks District, that would be an independent 5-member organization, and we wrote into the resolution, putting this on the ballot, a lot of language to say that we're supportive of that. And if there's an MPD that shows up, we indicated that we can't commit for future boards what they're going to do. We indicated our current willingness to pass funds over. If they took over, like if MPD was formed and they wanted to take over Memorial Field for Scholastic Athletics, then we would make sure that we don't taxed twice for that, because an NPD can go to the people and ask within whatever that, border is, whether it's the city of Port Townsend, whether it's a school district, Port Townsend School District, for taxing authority, so we could, give money. We've talked about if an NPD, you know, anywhere, or Parks and Rec District in a different area, takes over a resource, that we would, continue to fund it until another revenue source came. Another carve out that we created, the community of Brennan owns their own community center. They built it with a Parks and Rec District that's existing down there. So we carved out money too, so they basically, they could, we're not gonna tax the people of Brennan twice for the same facility, basically. So we would give them, you know, they could, if they decline to take revenue, you don't have to take the money that you can in a levy. We would give money out of this program, it's $45,000, to continue to, you know, continue the revenue the same as it is at the Quail Community Center. We also opted, and this was an option, to create the senior exemption. So there's a property tax exemption for income qualifying seniors, and that rate is significantly going up, bringing many more seniors into the fold from, I think, $45,000 to $71,000 this year. And we've said that this levy would be included in that income-based senior exemption as well.
Did you have a follow-up, Dan?
No, I'm not gonna ask the question.
Oh, now I want it. Okay,
Thanks, Greg.
thanks, guys.
I should have pointed out that that is not Carolyn O'Keefe sitting there. That is the vice president from SEC, Christine Spagel, sitting in where Carolyn is sitting here. Just FYI. Chief.
Thank you, and before I forget, I want to remind everybody that starting Monday, this coming Monday, for 3 consecutive weeks, Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., the bridge will be hard closed, not able to be opened for any reason. And if you happen to go see a movie and you're late coming home, you might have to drive around or find a hotel. So just a heads up on that. It is going to pose a little bit of a challenge for us for transporting critical patients, particularly if the weather's not cooperating, we can't fly the patients, which we do on a regular basis, but we have contingency plans to deal with that as well. Some current events in your fire district. We've been delivering a lot of wildfire-related content. One was here last week. We're really appreciative of the support we got from the community. A lot of great questions from the community, and even this morning I received a few phone calls as well for people that want to know how they can sign up for our home wildfire inspections, which is free. It's a really innovative program. We're one of the few agencies in the state that exceeded what we said we were going to do for DNR, and they gave us 3 different additional pots of grant money last year. We're hoping to get more this year to do those programs. Yeah. So if you see anybody from DNR or the state, tell them thank you. We're really proud of that progress. But we do have quite a waiting list. So with that, we also have started our wildland training, obviously, that we do seasonally with our newest fleet addition, which is our brush truck at the Chinnicum Fire Station. And we surplus the oldest unit in our fleet that was broke down the last time it went to state boat, and we had to tow it home. So it's now sailed off in the greener pastures, and where it should have been probably years ago. But we're glad to have a fleet of brush engines now that can perform adequately to protect all of you. We have seen a regular occurrence of brush fires in the district, in our neighboring districts. We've been collaborating with districts 2 and 4, Brennan and closely helping them as well. And it's just a little bit of a reminder, things are a lot drier than they appear. We had a pretty big scare Saturday here in North Ludlow, where somebody well-intentioned was burning a little bit legally and allowable brush burning with a weed burner, again, which is allowed as of today, not tomorrow. And lo and behold, the fire fingered into a bramble, and a live bramble, not dead, it completely burned it, as if it was not even there. And that's unusual for this time of year. It's the conference I was on yesterday with my fire commissioner, Jean, it was the first Western Washington Fire Adaptive Communities Conference ever. And one of the things we talked about extensively was the weather forecasting that's coming up over the next few months. And by August, we have a map that basically looks at one big swath of red for the entire state of Washington, Oregon, and northwest New Mexico, all at the same time. And that doesn't mean we're all going to burn it, but it means we're going to go through the same level of elevated risk at the same time. To where if we have multiple fires in multiple states, help is going to be delayed. So it's really incumbent on all of us to be careful with what we're doing and making sure that you're following the rules, and helping your neighbors, reminding your neighbors to follow the rules, because what they do is just as important as what you do. And which leads me to the final topic, which the commissioner teed up for me. On Monday, the fire district chiefs met, and I appreciate you on a regular basis, and we considered the decision whether or not to recommend to the county fire marshal that we raise the threat level for wildfire in Jefferson County. That was ultimately our unanimous decision as a fire chiefs association, and then what happens is the fire marshal has the authority to accept that or not. He decides to accept it. I think that's the right move. Bring it to the county, which will go into effect tomorrow morning. So if you notice, we have 4 new wildfire risk signs that are along our fire stations, up and down the district, Maristone, the airport, right here, and then after I leave here, I'm going to go change Station 8, down there on Bywater, or on 104. It'll be moderate, so that means you can still have a fire pit fire, but you cannot burn vegetation. If you have a burn permit, it's no longer valid after tomorrow morning. So you can't burn your vegetation. You can have a nice little cookout fire, you can barbecue, but for now, that's all you can do. And if the conditions continue to worsen, by default, it goes to moderate anyways on July 1 every year. But if it continues to worsen, we may consider going to high, which again, Commissioner alluded to, would then fireworks in all outside burning, including recreational burning, which would be unfortunate because I think we all enjoy those nice long evenings out, it's light out late, like a little fire pit, but it's not safe, it's not safe. I want to see if there's any questions. Yeah, yes, sir.
Did the kids find homes?
The last I heard, the kids found homes. Does anybody not know the kid story? No. No? Okay, so about a month ago, we had a house donated that was going to be destroyed up in Port Townsend, and with partners like PUD, we were successful in doing all of the permitting and paperwork, and PUD was great at helping us secure utilities. The day before we burned it for training, and it was a huge event, we had put in about 200 hours of staff time just for all the permitting and all the paperwork that needs to be done. We do a walkthrough. We walk through the entire, every inch of that building. Overnight, it must have gotten cold because Mama Katie brought in 4 kittens overnight. After 5, thank you, Jean, 5 kittens, we didn't know. So the next morning, we're thinking we're good to go. We light the building on fire. We did. We lit it on fire. We were burning for at least an hour. And then all of a sudden, we took a break, getting ready to, because we were lighting small fires, doing our training, putting the fire out, and then stopping it, and then resetting it, so doing skills and drills, basically. So we're not burning the whole house down at this point. The final crescendo is we burn the whole house down, and that's what we were about to do. And then all of a sudden, somebody hears, and they went, and they found 5 little kittens, completely unharmed, a little dirty, a little smelly, wet from the water. Yeah. And luckily, one of our great volunteers is a veterinarian, so he immediately went swimming into action. And Port Townsend PE, I think, helped secure the kittens and move them up to the shelter there on Jacob Miller Road. And to my adopted, or at least spoken for, and Generous Square paid for all their inoculations, bringing the price of adoption down to something really, really achievable. Good. Really excited about that. None of the kids were hurt. We put traps out for like at least a week with cat food, and we're checking it a couple times a day. And about it. And, you know, all that activity probably scared her, and she probably didn't go back. Or she went back and smelled the smoke and just figured that was it.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I just wanted to talk for a minute about the pancake breakfast in South Bend the other day, which was wonderful. And I'm going to get the names from Robert, who had spoken here at the presentation, also spoke, and is it Jeff?
Yeah.
Spoke about the CARES program. And my comment is I asked, where did that CARES program come from? And you can correct me if he was wrong, but he said that came from my chief. Yes, sir. So he designed that program. Thank you. It's a wonderful program. We'll talk about more.
It's becoming harder and harder to see. It was entirely grant funded until this year. And we're going to face some hard questions in the future years to sustain it, but it's necessary. Okay. Sorry.
I'm getting the look from the audience.
Sorry. Yes, the CARES program is indispensable, and we're trying to find other grant sources, but that'll be a challenge for the future.
Well, anything I can't speak for the board, but anything I can do.
Jeff is our CARES specialist. He is the CARES firefighter, if you will, that drives the Batmobile, is what we call it. It's the dynamic duo, him and our mental health professional that rides with him. Or Batman Robin.
You see, he told me, because we sat and ate on breakfast, that he's much better working with those, and please, don't put him on stage.
Jeff is one of mine, and he's the fire chief's out here, and he's one of them. I wanted to real quick introduce your newest fire commissioner for East Jefferson Fire Rescue, Dean Rice.
And I will say, Howard, when I thought about running for commissioner, I was offered a chance to do a ride along with CARES. I get choked up every time I talk about it because it's such an important program. And it's okay to talk about East Jeff, Friends of East Jeff, right?
Yep.
So one of the things you can do, if you hear about CARES, is there's a nonprofit called Friends of East Jefferson Fire Rescue that you can make a donation to. As a commissioner, we cannot give money to the CARES team to put in grab bars for people, but through that Friends of East Jeff, they can buy those, and then our people put them in. But that's a very important program. And then just the two things I wanted to say is, yes, I'm a commissioner, I don't have a fire or EMS background, so I'm learning a lot. But I represent you guys. You know, you are my constituents to the fire district. So if you have questions or comments or concerns, I'm one of the people that you can reach out to if I don't have answers for you. I will find answers for you. And then we also have commissioner meetings. The Board of Commissioners meets. We're the governing body of the fire district. We meet the third Tuesday of the month at the Chimkin Station. Those meetings are open to the public. They're also streamed online. And in every meeting, there are 2 opportunities for you to voice your concerns or ask questions. So that's what I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks, Jeannie. You got time, Jameson, or you gotta go? Oh, great.
Yeah, so that's one of my talking points. All right. Jameson Hahn, Jefferson PD Communications Team. I'll step a little closer to the mic here. So, first thing I gotta do is shout out the Utilities Committee. It was great to be in the room with everybody and really just get a chance to see how it operates and kind of plan, it sounds like plan a path forward on how it will be conveyed to the board here, so, to the council. It was a great chance to kind of just throw it all out there and see how we can act as a conduit to get information out to everybody. So that was great. I'm gonna hop over to fiber, so broadband. BEAD funding, we have signed, the ink is still wet on that one. Provisional signage of BEAD funding, which brings about $120 potential home addresses here within the Fort Ludlow general area. That is a grant funded program, so good opportunity for fighter. If you haven't checked your address lately, we've updated our mapping on the website. Highly recommend it. If you are, a lot of the central right around the heart of Fort Ludlow is considered served under the new rules. But the new funding was 100 megabits a second down, 20 up. If your house had really slow internet, it's worth taking a peek because it is down to the parcel and property that we had to go to get more people, on the document. So there's about 120 folks in the Fort Ludlow area, mostly heading just off between us and Butte Valley, but also heading up Oak Bay a bit. So worth taking a peek. Wildfire is going to reoccurring theme here, and there's a fire ongoing right now. So we are currently doing checks of our highline work right now. So it's incredibly important for us to know our equipment and know when it's in the trip and what settings it needs. So we're going to be doing some surveys with drones coming up here to ensure that a lot of our transmission and everything's set properly, because it's going to be very dry. And we're well aware of the hazards that can pose. I mean, you can look at any utility in California and you can see the struggles and how scary that can be. So it is part of our wildfire mitigation plan, which was state mandated, and we continue to update with the latest and greatest, especially with Joe, our GM, at the helm. It's a big deal to him. So just know that we are looking into it more and more. So Joe also actually just texted me a little bit ago, and I asked what projects he has coming up for the Fort Ludlow area specifically. And he said we will be working on a portion of mainline feeder coming into Fort Ludlow. So you will be seeing crews between here and the Ludlow substation, just working on, again, clearing around lines, but a replacement of the feeder itself. So there's going to be other projects that are more down toward Oak Bay. Yeah, a lot happening down here. Beyond that, if you've attended any of our meetings recently, BPA has come up a few times as our provider of energy. The discussions of river flow and how it's going to impact and kind of the crossroads we're at with demand versus generation capability as a whole for a region. And it is a topic that you're going to continue to hear this year and into the future as we all try and figure out a happy medium between spill rate over the dams that feed 76% of our power and, well, ensuring that we don't have brownouts and blackouts. You probably have seen later, you discussed with them at length about the ongoing concerns we have. And it is something that's also at the forefront because it impacts rates. And one thing we never want to see brownouts, never want to see blackouts. They do that for safety concerns down in California, but also if there's not enough energy produced, you run that risk. And unfortunately, that risk is when peak demand occurs, which is the winter time. Over here, peak demand is not that awful in summer, but the worst time of year is when you can actually run right up to the limit. And we've done it, we've come close. So not so much here in county, but as a region. So that's something we have to be very mindful of. And the way we're kind of offsetting everything we can is through energy efficiency updates in people's homes and making funding available through carbon credits and everything that we have to the state to make the funds available for specifically for income qualified folks, people where they are struggling every month with their bill. And that helps us help them in their home instead of handing out a check through our providers like Holy Cap or St. Vincent de Paul. We can actually help them by sending in help to the home, looking at their home as an audit perspective and saying you're leaking everywhere. Here's what we can offer, and giving them avenues for support. Because the goal is, it's a weird place to be with the utility where we want you to use power, but we don't want you to use too much power. And we want to make sure that your bill is actually low, because I mean that's the whole point of being community owned. So it's an interesting business model, but we want everybody to save power because you're all our neighbors. So That's kind of what I got. Any questions? I know we've covered a lot here, but.
So I saw an ad just today, I think, on Facebook, might have been a leader. Local, well-known Port Townsend electrical contractor advocating for installing generators because of data centers and brownouts. And it's inevitable. If you want power in your house, you're gonna need a generator. Is there any truth to that, or is it combined with the new spill rates? They're taking energy out of the system by wasting water.
The generation side is interesting because with a generator, we really would advise people with a generator to have it stay at a whole home or something that automatically kicks in gears when you have a medical issue. You have something that you would require it. Absolutely, especially with refrigerated anything. Highly recommend people look at that as an option. Beyond that, when you're talking brownouts and blackout potentials, the idea is rotate, especially in those cold time of year. You'd be looking at blocks, not an entire day, but the idea is to maneuver a grid where you don't end up with what's called the cold load pickup, which is what happens a lot down here, where you keep triggering a feeder because of everyone's energy demand going on at one time. So you do, the idea would be to do kind of roving, which sounds awful, but roving, moving to keep homes from cooling too much during that peak time. So there's a logic that BPA kind of works with and that we would have to work with as well, but hopefully again, it's something we don't want to explore. But that's it. If you have folks that have health concerns at all, that's always something we'd like to look at.
When you do, if you do, rolling, brownout, blackout, rolling, whatever you want to call it, what's the time frame? Is it
Unfortunately,
a couple hours?
so demand related, those
So I mean,
things
as you move through a neighborhood or move through a grid zone.
we are at the mercy of BPA. Think of where our energy is coming from and where it's not going. It's not a loop up here, so we have one direction, and when we get a call from BPA, say a fire were to occur down Hooking Out, great example. Anything under those transmission lines that Spokane dispatch from BPA sends this way and says we have to shut off from Shelton. That's where they're opening up, and they're saying, sorry, Peninsula, that's what you got until we get the same remedy. So yeah, it's a concern, but we're kind of at the mercy of the demand as a whole, and hopefully, being a smaller fish at the end of the line, and we're not a market central, something like a large municipality, Tacoma, Everett, those kind of things with PSC, but Tacoma Power, but we are not a hub for a lot of commerce, large commerce. Yeah, we kind of fall into a weird part of that spectrum where we couldn't shut off. So again, these are things that as we get closer and more clarity from EPA, it's something that we're going to actually be able to pass on to you to let you know what's happening.
This is kind of on the same vein, solar. The whole time we've been talking, I've never had a conversation really about the opportunities for solar in Washington, and particularly us. We lived in another state. They had a great program where the federal government subsidized, the state subsidized. It was a very low cost, paid for itself in about 3 years. Are there any programs like that in Washington still?
Not currently. So that would be like the WSU program. My house, for example, has solar on it. It was part of that initial program. Yes, the payback was really good.
Yeah.
We had a high number of folks. If you think of the size of our county, so 21,000 years, we had a sizable, when compared to say Grace County, or Grace Harbor County, we have over double the PVs of the solar kids as they have twice the number of people. We have a huge adoption of solar in this county. The solar is interesting though, because think about the peak time demand in our county, January. That was a lot of, opportunity for the solar gain right there, but it's also a pass-through. We don't have a battery system like now, which has massive battery pumps to harness this. It's great as a good backfeed grid, but it's never, we think of it as something that can do a home. It's not as a whole something that is a huge output to our grid. not as much as you might think in megawatts. I mean, for example, right now, to run at this temperature, we're looking about 26 megawatts to run the county. Like Mill, for example, is about 24 megawatts all the time. During peak load, we hit 113 megawatts in the middle of the night when you couldn't set the air transformer because it was so hot. There's no way our solar can ever keep up with that again. It's a good thing for the
Yeah,
home.
my question is really, not form.
Yeah, and the payback is still good. We by law have to pay retail price. A lot of states are wholesale. So I'm sending power back to the grid, and it's always at retail cost, which is great. And then at the end of the year, the bank that remains goes toward all the cap or savings and all that. When it rotates through by state law or that, so it goes to support.
But there's no program you can use that.
Not currently down wherever, nothing that we are,
Okay.
that's part of our system right now. Any other questions on utilities? All right.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, like I said, Diana's not gonna be here today, but she did send me a couple of quick PLA updates that I can't read. Here we go. No real updates other than in events. So they're doing some Laker dinners. They've got a Mother's Day brunch coming up. They're doing a farm supper, I think. That'll be in the fireside. They have the permits are in for the Falls Terrace, and so they're just waiting on review for those. And that's the development around where the offices are, the PLA offices are currently, and the RV park. And then the third thing she had was that the ancillary charges are with the UTC, and that everyone has their letter, so it should have been in your last billing statement from housing. So there we go. That will wrap up stakeholders for today, and we will move on to HOAs, and we'll start with Joan from LMC so that Christine can see how it's done.
Yeah, watch carefully. The outdoor pool opened on Thursday early, much earlier than usual, but with the very nice weather and not even that much heckling from the community. A very popular decision was made. It opens at 9, closes at 6, and on Sundays closes at 3:30.
John, can you put that mic closer to you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the outdoor pool is open. Reminder, there is not a lifeguard on duty. Please stay very close to your little ones if you bring them. You might have noticed the trench when you came in. There was a leak in the pipe there, so that is extricating that pipe to repair that. Please use caution around that area. And let's see, what else? Oh, our volunteer brunch was on May 5th, and because 98% of what is done around here is done by volunteers, it was great to appreciate them that day. One of our main volunteers put on the spread, so I don't know when she gets her payback. The new officers, slate of officers is Von Bradshaw, President, Kathy Pugh, Vice President, Bob Shaw, Treasurer, and Karen Davis, Secretary. So that is the LMC report. Any questions?
Thanks, Joan. Christine for SPCA.
Thank you. Okay, what's going on at SPCA? This Friday, which is tomorrow, we're having a Mexican fiesta dinner for members, and I think it's sold out. That's a good thing. We're in the process of refreshing and redoing our landscape in front of the property, which has been a long time coming and certainly needed. And that's probably gonna be finished hopefully July or August. But as those of you who work in HOA know, things take time. We're at a Memorial Day ceremony scheduled for May 25th. We've got some speakers who will be Vietnam vets. And one of our members will play taps, and another member will do the bagpipes for Amazing Grace, which is all wonderful and very heartwarming. If you read The Voice, you know that we have lots and lots of presentations going on today. Just before I got here, we had a presentation from the Port Townsend Historical Museum talking about lore and legends of Port Townsend. And I've never been on any of those walks when I'm going because they sound really a lot of fun. She was an excellent speaker, so there's that. But other things we have coming up, Snails and Slugs will be a presentation, which I'm looking forward to. Jefferson Healthcare, Dr. Joe Madden will be talking about end-of-life issues and what you need, what you ought to have written-wise, what kind of documents and so on. One of our members is a former employee of the CIA and will be making a series of presentations. He's already given one that was quite good. This one scares me to death, but we've got somebody coming to talk about earthquakes. I'm going, but you know. Salmon Coalition will be coming at some point. We have somebody coming about noxious weeds, and all of these presentations are open to the Port Bello community in general. Our dinners and so on are generally open to members and guests only. But all these presentations are available. Recently replaced a lot of the equipment in our weight room, and we're having weekly presentations or availability of a couple of members who are well versed in the use of that equipment, so that our members will know how to use some stuff that we have. And our annual meeting is coming up in July, where we will have new board directors. So that's it for South Bay.
Awesome. Thank you. That seminar series, presentation series, lecture series, whatever you want to call it, is fantastic. Gil has done a great job of getting some really, really interesting and informative speakers. I appreciate that you're opening it up to everybody, and we're doing what we can to get the word out.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to board business. First item we need to discuss is the approval of the minutes from last month, which everybody's, well, almost everybody's sitting at this table got a copy of them. If somebody wants to move to approve, or discuss them, or whatever you want to do.
I read them, so, which is the first point of order. I move to approve the April 2nd, 2026 PLVC board meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, Howard has made a motion, Gary has seconded. Do we have any discussion, corrections, amendments? Sharing my grammar. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
And one abstention.
There's the one abstention.
I wasn't here.
Very good. You're so good.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the treasurer's report, I will pass this mic to Gary.
Okay, here we go. So, as of last month, you'll now find our financials on the table. You walk in, they're open to the public. And as a side note, I probably have been permissive saying to you that the Trails Committee meets monthly, and they have their own treasurer for the committee. They provide us with their financials every month. So at any point in time, you would like to know what the Trails Committee is doing, put your hand up, I've got the financials with me. April, sort of the condensed version of it, we started off with $14,661.87. We ended April a little bit up at $15,363.35. Some of that is because our event season is kicking in. So we're starting to see some revenues from events that haven't quite happened yet. In fact, Lois is going to talk about the incredibly successful yard sale that we have coming up, because we kind of sold out on that real quickly. And that was a nice little financial bump for us. We did get one person to commit a donation, so we're good. The expenses that we have for April are all very much in line. There was nothing sort of out of the ordinary. We knew what we were going to get into. There are some unbudgeted expenses that we will see probably in May and June, and the board will address those when they come up. But we're sitting good with money right now. So again, if there are any questions about how we're using the money or what we're doing with it, please let us know, because we'd like to be very transparent about it. Thanks.
But then we'll leave it with you to go on to. So beginning the committee reports, we'll start with administration with Gary while he's got the mic.
I'm not the chair of the administration committee, I am just the board liaison. The administration committee took a 2-month timeout. Everybody was tired. If you don't know what their major charge has been as of late, they have been redoing our policies and procedures manual. And if anybody has ever done any technical writing, you know what a chore that is and how much work goes into that. And they have been working very, very hard. They reconvened this last month so that they have gotten through the bulk of updating those policies and procedures, but they had some outlier items that we call putting them in the parking lot. And so we came back to that parking lot to look at and prioritize what those outlying issues were, how we're going to work on it, and how we're going to move forward with that. You will hear from our chair next month about the election process, because we start our election process in June. Voting goes on in September, and new officers get elected and new board members in October. So we need to start that process now, and they're very diligently working on that. And this has been a sort of process has been honed over the years, and this works very well. And the chair has this process down to a T. So you'll hear from her next month about how to run that process.
Thank you, Gary. Questions about either the treasurer's report or admin committee? Okay, we are going to move on to the communications committee. I just did them alphabetically, not in any order of importance. And we will start with Colleen with an update about the PL Connects project.
What I'd like to say is that this group just continues to amaze me. We're dealing with sponsorships. We have Portland brokers, Active Life, Banker, the PLVC, the SBCA, the LMC have all contributed into the sponsorship area, which is absolutely wonderful, and that's another reason why the bank account is higher. Correct.
Yes.
We have possible sponsors, we have in-kind donations, we have exhibitors, we have volunteers, but we continue to look for volunteers to help out. We have tables, but we need additional tables. That particular size, 3 by 6. If anybody has any, we would really appreciate it. We have publicity going into the next door, posts, the Voice articles, the Port Ludlow Facebook page. There are flyers down in the town center and the marina, which will be showing up. They may not be there now. We don't want to overwhelm the community with things that are in the future. We want people to see the yard sale, etc. If you'd like to attend any of our meetings, our next meeting is on May 28th. It will be here at the Beach Club in one of the smaller rooms. Does anyone have any questions? The opportunity there is, welcomes newcomers, and normally we have probably
Open, yeah, 60.
about 60 vendors. And then the newcomers in the community, we usually have grab bags for about 200 people. So it is well attended. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Yeah, that's
Question?
great.
What is the date of the opportunity fair? I'm sorry, Ms. Stack.
August 28th. It's a Friday.
And it's at the big one. Okay, moving on to the yard sale update with Lois.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm chairperson of the community events. We are sold out for our yard sale. We're very thrilled about that. We have a waiting list. We have 4 nonprofits participating. We have vendors. Fireside Inn is providing food for purchase. We have our wonderful bake sale coordinated by our volunteer coordinator, Caroline Miner. Caroline, wave. She's been a wonderful addition to our team and has been extremely helpful. The string-alongs are going to be performing, and they always do a great job. We are doing the event on Saturday, Memorial Weekend, from 10 to 2. We're asking people not to come before 9 because the gates will be closed. Without volunteers, we couldn't pull this off, so we're very grateful. We had several volunteers come through our survey, so we're thrilled about that. I do have a couple of flyers. Spread the word. It's a community-wide event. Invite everybody. Rain or shine, we'll be out there selling cookies and having fun. Any questions for me? Pardon? Oh, raffle tickets, yes. We are selling raffle tickets, and the raffle prizes are over $150 to $200, so they're well worth a $5 ticket, or maybe more tickets than just $5. So. And we'll have a village council table as well. Any questions for me?
I'm just gonna add, just a reminder that the Richmond American Homes, we're building the new development up in Olympic Church 2 are sponsoring the String Homes in their way, so we can have music. We thank them. What's that?
What are they sponsoring?
The String Homes. Music, it's a local.
I'm familiar with String Along.
Okay, my turn. This Friday, next Friday, a week from tomorrow, we're doing a e-waste recycling event at the Village Center from 9:30 to 2:30, 10:30 to 2:30. Yeah. We partnered with a group called PCs for People who refurbish and recycle electronics and then provide them to underserved communities, which seems like a good thing. And it gets the stuff out of your garage that's been piling up, keeps it on landfill, all those good things, so that's a good thing. We finally got approval from the county, or actually I guess technically from the Washington State Patrol to go ahead and start a roadside cleanup crew. And I think I'm gonna reach out to them next week, find out when the mowing schedule is along the roads here, so we can follow the mowers rather than going out into waste-eating grass. Looking for some.
Can I ask a question about your e-waste?
Yes, you can.
What exactly does that entail? Just computer, printer, what's included?
So it turns out on our webpage, there's a flyer. But no, it really is, it's just about everything, even printers. I think I told somebody in here they would not take printers. They do take printers, computers, flat screen TVs, any cords, bricks, mice, phones, keyboards. Yeah. I think the way they describe it, anything that plugs into a screen or sits next to a screen or interfaces with the screen, they'll take extension cords. full Christmas light. I mean, anything that's got copper in it.
Thank you.
Currently, it's probably knee high right now, I would say. But I did follow mowers down Oak Bay Road yesterday, coming back from Port Townsend, so I think they're making their way through.
They create sort of a shrapnel. They shred everything, and so
It makes it harder
it
in
makes it
some ways.
worse considering going before they hit it,
Okay,
get big pieces of.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I think, I'll look at it. I want to get this started in June, just because we've been talking about it now for 3 months, and it took forever for the Washington State Patrol background check to get to the right place. It turned out, it was a quick turnaround from the State Patrol, but it went to the wrong office up at the county, and they finally found it. So, oh, yeah, we can trust you to go pick up garbage. So, we'll go ahead and get that started. But in the meantime, someone has reached out to Diana at PLA about the big wooden Port Ludlow signs that are in need of at least some TLC, if not some repair and maybe repainting. So I think we're gonna try and work that into the mix as well, as long as we've got the signs from the county protecting us, get out there and clean those signs as well.
Jeff, do we need a motion from the board to actually approve that function?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We're not spending more money.
Yeah.
Any more.
You say that now.
And then the last thing on communications, just a quick wrap up on the beach day cleanup, Earth Day beach cleanup. We had a dozen-ish people show up and participate. Caroline was out there hauling tires off the beach. We picked up 140 pounds of debris between this beach, Shine, and somebody went out, a couple of people went out and worked Oak Bay Road. Came back with bags and stuff. So it was a successful event. Port Townsend Marine Science Center put it on, or at least coordinated it. I think it was more of a statewide event, but locally it was Port Townsend Marine Science Center. And it kind of came up like 2 weeks before the event, so we didn't get a lot of PR out there. I think we'll get a lot more participation next year, and fully expect we'll do it again. It was a great time to interact with folks. So that's it for communications. I'm going to keep the mic and do a real quick update on the emergency committee. They met last Monday. I didn't make it to the meeting, unfortunately, but they did present at our last workshop the current version of the community emergency plan that Rick and Jason put together. We sent that off to the Department of Emergency Management at the county, and Kevin Kevlinger and Willie, his last name escapes me.
Thanks.
Yes. The director, the deputy director of the emergency management group for the county reviewed it. Gary and I went out and sat down with them last week to have a little bit of a conversation about it. They're going to write up their thoughts. They had some, observations about the document, and in some places there's more than there needs to be. In some places it needs to be a little more clear. It needs to be. I think they're supportive of the document and the plan, but they'll have some suggested edits, I think. So we'll get that feedback to Rick and Jason when it comes back, and we'll move forward with that. Questions, concerns, comments, communications, or emergency before I hand this back to Gary for finance and fundraising?
So the Finance and Fundraising Committee just met. Caroline joined us. We had some things that we needed to talk about. We're wrapping up the 2026 PLVC raffle. I think that we're ready to go. We were set to launch that on May 23rd at the garage sale. However, we're a little bit ahead of the curve, so we probably are going to launch that the May 15th e-recycling thing. So we'll have a booth there, tickets will be available. Tickets are always going to be available. We can't sell them online, that's illegal in the state of Washington. So if you want a raffle ticket, if your friends want a raffle ticket and you don't want to wait for a PLVC event, you can just email me and I will come to your front door and I'll be selling raffle tickets. We're out here to sell raffle tickets this year. So we're ahead of the curve on the raffle and we're very, very happy about it. The prices are, the threshold, we set the threshold kind of high and we were very, very happy with what came back. And I'm always reminded about what an incredibly generous community we live in when we go to do these things, because people just give, and that's sort of an awesome thing there. We also have talked about a couple of different recognition programs that we want to work on. One is a donor recognition program, one is a volunteer recognition program. And the Finance and Fundraising Committee was asked to take this on. We've started the wheels turning on both of those. Caroline's going to work with us very closely on the volunteer recognition program, and we hope to be able to say thank you to the people who make everything possible in September and October with a very heartfelt celebration. So that's that for financing. However, I then need to actually interject into, I took a look at our safe deposit box after years that I don't think anybody had been in there for a while, maybe. And I turned all the documents over to the president for review. After having reviewed it, I believe that Jeff determined there was not much of value in that box. I believe everything was from 2009. So the boxes, yeah, there were no surprises, there were no bad surprises. The box is now empty. And what I would like to ask the board to do is to make a motion, second motion, and vote on discontinuing the use of that box. It is not a large amount of money, but you know, even small amounts of money add up through the years. So if I could get that motion, please, and thank you.
I move to close the safe deposit account.
I second that motion.
I'm sorry. Is there any discussion about that? No? Can all those in favor, please? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, there are several CDs of old documents that I think have value, and we will store them forever in our cloud storage on Google Drive. But the really exciting, for President's Eyes Only envelope that had all the usernames and passwords on it that I was so excited about.
Didn't work.
All expired. Okay, passing it on to Howard for trails and utilities.
Okay, thank you very much. So, my trails report, we just had a meeting Tuesday. So,
Hey, Howard, put that mic closer.
oh, excuse me, okay, our meeting was on Tuesday, and Larry Scott's on vacation, but we had a wonderful meeting. Oh, God, isn't he? I'll be right here, okay. So here's the list. We've had, as of April 30th, 495.5 hours of volunteer hours recorded. Part of the conversation was not all hours get recorded, and we should do a better job of that. May 4th, there was a Scotch broom and invasive ivy cleanup. You might have seen some of these folks out there. There were 14 volunteers. They went out in the morning. They spread into 3 groups, and afterwards they held a barbecue and drank some, assuming soft drinks, but I wasn't there, so I can't speak for sure. But it was very successful, and they got a lot of work done. And they've been doing this for some years now. And the Scotch Broom, this is the time of the year to take it out. Later in the year, they will go back to the Tansy ragweed, I believe. Or ragwort, yes. Well, you know more than you've been here. So that it already happened.
Those of you who have driven down Oak Bay Road, and gone back past the cemetery up to Walker Way, might have noticed that there's a trail extension that the Trails has been doing. It's been very extensive. They've spent, I don't know how many hours now, how many days, but a number of those. And what the intention, it's not the intention, but what they're working on and what will open soon is a trail that will go and extend from the existing trail below where you can go up now, well, you will be, over the cemetery, and eventually be able to go into the cemetery. For those who don't know, I believe there are 14 graves that they identified through using sonars, penetration, earth penetration, and they intend to do the best they can to honor those folks that were buried there. So that's ongoing. And then steal the finance report from you, Gary, on trails. They ended April with $10,256.32 in the bank. So
That's for all of the accounts.
excuse me, that's for all the accounts.
Cancer, yeah.
Yes, they have a separate account, just break it down if you want. There's a reserve account, a cemetery account, and then an operating account. But if you take the total of all three of those accounts, they got that. And of course, the one last thing that you didn't know, the Trails Committee through the PLVC applied for a grant and received $7,500 to put out new trail maps. Those trail maps, 30,000 trail maps. Those maps are now out, being distributed, and hopefully they'll last for a period of time. They made a number of improvements to make it easier to understand going from one trail to the other. And my wife and I were beneficiaries of that because the old trail map didn't quite show you the cut throughs to get here and there. We didn't cut through. So there you go. Utilities, first of all, I want to thank the Utilities Committee. We had our first meeting. I put out a strategic plan that AI helped us. It really did do a very good job. If you would have read our minutes, you would know that it did go well. So, but with that said, we did have a second meeting. The meeting went, I thought it was going to end it, quite honestly. After the report from Housing to go along with our PUD. But you weren't there, Joe, you were there at our first one. But what happened was in that meeting that people started talking to each other. And the next thing you know, the PUD rep, Jameson, who was here, started talking with Jason White and others, and they started going, oh, we could do this together, we could do that together. And so both Jeff and I went, God, that meeting went well, maybe we should meet again. So we're going to meet again. I have no plan, to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure, I believe what our mission is to monitor both our public utilities and be able to share with the community information. And that to me is my personal belief in the role. Board will definitely, I can't speak for the board, but I thought it went well, so I'm happy with that. And that's what I prefer.
Thanks, Art. Well, that brings us to item number 5, audience comments from any of the 6 of you. We might have a comment or two. Yeah.
Do we still have somebody in charge of kicking out folks that stay too long, type of thing? Didn't say.
We don't formally, that will be part of the utilities committee at some level. We're gonna call it the Health of the Bay, initiative. What's that? Yeah, Phil has stepped away. He said he'd still be happy to help be the eyes and ears, but he can't be the one jumping in a boat anymore and going out and talking to people.
Just wonder.
Yeah, it's on our to-do list as part of utilities as we figure out the role of utilities. Maybe it doesn't belong there, maybe I kind of feel like it belongs in trails and natural resources. We always refer to trails as trails, but their official title is trails and natural resources. And I feel like the bay is a natural resource. But
I don't think the Trails Committee's got the bandwidth to take on that.
I agree with the asterisk that they have more volunteers than any other community in the organization. We should think about that, I don't know. But it is, I know it's a concern that people have, is derelict vessels and people overstaying their welcome in the bay. Personally, I get concerned every time a boat pulls in here and people judge it by its cover and instantly want it removed when it's been here 2 days and they think, well, this boat's gonna wash up or it's gonna sink or. I like giving people the benefit of the doubt and wait till we're closer to that 30 days before we go start pestering people, but, I know it's a big concern for people, but we're fortunate enough to have you in the bay. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, and then it's Joan's turn.
Joan?
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Any nays in the room?
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everybody.
And